To order the organization and regular board meeting of the Board of Education for January 16th. If we could all rise for the pledge, please. Welcome to all of you. It's great to see so many people here, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our new board members that are joining us today as well. At this point in time, I'm going to ask for roll call.
Barbara Garcia, here. Brandow. Here. Isich.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Sadu.
Here.
White.
Here. Just so that everybody knows who's using the microphone at this time, you have to be able to hear yourself to be recorded, and you do not have to hold down the button. So if your green light is on, you will be recorded. If you need to repeat yourself, feel free to do so. Again, welcome to all of you. I'm going to take a quick minute before we go any further to let you know that if you are here for public comment, that we do ask that you fill out one of these cards. That gives us a way to contact you for follow-up at that time. At this point in time, just so that you know, you will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. We do ask that you speak to the entire board. We ask that you do not bring personnel issues or individual issues at this time. Thank you very much. All right, at this point in time, we are going to move on to recognition.
Thank you. January is School Board Recognition Month. During this month, we would like to take a moment to recognize the CCS School Board of Education as one of the nearly 600 locally elected school boards with the specific task of working to enrich the lives of students, specifically Caledonia Community School students, by way of providing their time, their experience, their leadership, their guidance towards creating a safe and nurturing educational environment for all students. CCS school board members serve as an exceptional example of public service to all students and families in our community. The Board of Education members have committed to and will continue to provide countless hours to the duty of collectively governing our district and advancing student achievement in CCS schools. Board of Education members, at your seats tonight, you should have two gifts before you as a small token of our appreciation from the Caledonia Community Schools Full Service Department as well as the district administration team. I'd like to ask the audience to please stand and join me in a round of applause for our Board of Education and their dedication to serving the students of Caledonia Community Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a privilege for each of us to serve in this capacity, and please know that we do not take this job lightly, and it does take a lot of time. But we are pleased to be part of this community, and thank you very much for letting us serve. At this time, we'd like to recognize the hard work and dedication of one of our administrators. I'd like to introduce Katie McClintock, the Arts and Communication Specialist for the KISD, is here today to present a special award.
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, I am on the communications team at Kent ISD, but tonight I'm actually here on behalf of the Michigan School Public Relations Association, on behalf of their board and their Awards and Recognition Committee. The Michigan School Public Relations Association, or MSPRA as we call it, is the premier organization for school communications professionals in Michigan, with more than 200 members statewide. MSPRA represents those communicating on the front lines for our public schools and telling the stories of the students, the staff, the great things that are happening in our schools all throughout the state. MSPRA's purpose is to advance education through responsible communications. One of the ways we do that is through recognition of excellent communication. And today, it's my honor to present one of MSPRA's highest awards, Dr. Diedrich Martin, sorry. I knew I was going to do that, has been named the 2022 Michigan School Public Relations Association Superintendent Communicator of the Year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This was a surprise.
That was the plan. So, this award recognizes a current superintendent for outstanding leadership in school public relations and communications. It was clear to MSPRA's expert panel of judges that Dr. Martin understands the value of a year-round ongoing communications program. He invests in communication tools. He works strategically with the district's communication professional. He practices communication management and best practice techniques. And he demonstrates excellent personal communication skills, including ethics, honesty, openness, and active listening. According to his nominators, Dr. Martin joined the district in 2018 during a period of rapid community growth and changing demographics, and he immediately identified purposeful communication as a primary element of his strategic efforts. Under his leadership, Caledonia Community Schools has developed new branding standards, passed a major bond initiative, and built trust with stakeholders through his dialogue with doc sessions. Dr. Martin has further invested in district communications through an app for students, parents, and staff, and added a communication position to the district. Congratulations again to Dr. Martin and the entire Caledonia Community Schools team. We look forward to celebrating this honor with you at MSPRA's state conference, which will actually happen in March in Grand Rapids. But before that, the actual award and some words from your team.
I am honored to kick off this presentation by sharing some of the reasons Dr. Martin was nominated by the Caledonia community for this prestigious award. It began with his unwavering commitment to transparent communication, along with his vision for growth within Caledonia Community Schools. Dr. Martin believed that listening to and speaking with all stakeholders was the foundation for building trust, and he built a robust strategic plan, which included rebranding and building organized, concise communication. Not only did the district feel Dr. Martin was worthy of this nomination, but members of our board, district service vendors, and the greater Caledonia community supported the nomination as well.
When Dr. Martin first came, he took the time to evaluate where we were as a district. One of his first initiatives was to meet with various stakeholder groups, and in those he was trying to gain and learn about who we were, what our climate and culture was, also to build trust and to gain transparency as he started out. So during that time, he met with different staff, student, parent, and community groups. And with that, he was able to gain this insight. He focused on points of pride, who we are, and that led to his dialogues with doc meetings that he still is holding today, to go out and tell our story and be available to those around to answer questions and any questions that come up. He always makes himself available. As a part of that was the initiation of our strategic plan. And within that strategic plan, there are many elements that focus on communications. One of those was around our district-wide communication standards. With that, he helped develop a new district-wide branding standard for everything. So it started out, we have a brand new logo, we have specific colors, we have templates to use, we also have standard email signatures. We now have a communications handbook, so we all are on the same page, we know what we're using, we are just more cohesive as a team and as a district.
Every defeat offers an opportunity for growth if you reflect. And we certainly did that, and specifically Dr. Martin did that. So in the fall of 19, we did not pass our millage. At that point, we had to reconstruct where we were going to go. And so with the vision of Dr. Martin, he put together several different initiatives for communication purposes. One of those was the Ask Me Anything segment. And I'm not certain, we probably all realize this to some degree, but leading in this time is difficult. Being on stage and being willing to take any questions that come up is a vulnerable task. And you're leading the way, Dr. Martin, in being vulnerable. But then also, I would take on the next slide here and say that he's also transparent. And he put together several different publications, documents, both current and previous, to offer the community and anyone perusing our website the opportunity to learn more about us and who we are and the story that we are telling. Again, it takes a great visionary leader to be able to offer the opportunities that he has to communicate our story, who we are now, and where we're going.
You've already heard many examples of the intentional investment Dr. Martin has made in communication, marketing, and engagement. In addition, we have developed promotional videos, printed publications, the redesigned website, the new app, and all of these things have been made possible through a dedication of funds for this specific and important purpose.
And finally, we all know that communication moves at the speed of social media, which can be pretty fast. So one thing I know Dr. Martin really emphasized was consistent communication to all our families and staff. It needs to be timely and it needs to be accurate because we know it is valuable to our community, but we want to get out the correct message the first time around so we don't have to change that. And telling our story is a huge piece of what we want to do. One of the most important things we did is actually hire someone to help manage and lead our communication efforts. That person manages our social media initiatives, works with our administrative team and our cabinet to make sure they get the message out there. And that is Kelly, wherever she's at right now, but she's done a great job organizing this for us. So thank you, Kelly. And finally, Dr. Martin, we just want to thank you for your outstanding communication and leadership.
Wow, I am speechless. You guys are sneaky. But, you know, I think certainly any honor or recognition I get is a direct reflection of several things. First, for the Board of Education for supporting me and actually challenging me to try to improve the forms of communication to our community and try to be open and transparent. And certainly to our entire administrative team, starting with Kelly. She has been a true godsend in terms of her skill set and her ability, and to be able to take some of my wild ideas and put some life into them and make them look good. So thank you, Kelly. Thank you to Michelle and the entire cabinet. Many times when communication go out, it might be written by me, but it might be vetted by several different people to make sure that it's factually accurate and tell the information that we need to tell to our community. And so I just thank the team. I allow them to push back if they see something that is not right or not putting our best foot forward. And clearly, any recognition for me is a recognition truly, in my opinion, for our whole team. And thank you guys for your support.
With the quick photo, I want to say congratulations, obviously. We appreciate the effort that's been put into this, as well as our entire administrative staff and Kelly. Thank you, too, for being here, Katie. Before you guys leave, though, while everyone is welcome to stay, I know Dr. Martin's family was gracious enough to sneak in here, and we understand if you don't want to sit through the entire meeting. We get it. You can live it at home later. But but I'm going to give your dad just a couple minutes to say hi to you before you leave. So if we could just have just a quick few minutes before we reconvene here, okay? But Mrs. Martin and Cameron, Jalen, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your support and the amount of time that you give your dad to all of us. Thank you. Thank you, Martin family.
Yes.
All right, with that, a few seats opened up. If there's somebody standing that would like to, file into an open seat, please feel free to do so at this time. If you are just coming in and you didn't get my message before, again, if you are here for public comment, we do ask that you fill out one of these cards. We'll ask for them all to be turned in before public comment starts. At this time, we're going to move on to 5, election of officers for 2023. I will ask for a nomination for each office and then an acceptance. If there is an acceptance, then we will take roll call vote. May I have a nomination for president?
I would like to make a nomination for president for Marcy White. And I have just a few words, if I might, to share about why I'd like to make that nomination. Thank you. So I want to nominate our current board president, Marcy White, to be the president again for 2023. Over my 2-year tenure on the board, I have observed Marcy to operate in every situation, every time, with integrity, respect for others, honesty, and courage. These traits are not only valuable in our functioning as a board, they are critical for our board leader. In addition, Marcy always keeps our mission to serve all of the children, staff, and parents of the Caledonia Community Schools in the top of her mind, and uses this as a guiding principle in every little and big decision we make. She is always cognizant of and operates within board policies and norms, and ensures that district needs are being met. She's been as even-tempered, fair, and graceful as anyone could have been in the past few years. And she's led by example in setting the tone for our board and our community. I am grateful, Marcy, to you for your leadership, and I believe that Marcy is the right president to help continue to guide this board and our district forward. Marcy, it is therefore my honor to nominate you for president.
I'm going to follow it up with Dr. Martin's words of wow. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am willing to accept that nomination. Are there any other nominations? Can I please have roll call?
Barbara Garcia, yes. Brandow,
Yes.
Esich,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Nichols, Sadoo.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes and yes, thank you. White.
Yes. Thank you very much to all of you for entrusting me with this job, and I look forward to continue to serve with each and every one of you. Thank you to you as a community. At this point in time, I would like to take nomination for vice president.
It is my honor and privilege to nominate Dr. Brittany Barber Garcia for the position of vice president. In her first 2 years as a board member, she has served with passion and grace, which are 2 qualities becoming of a leader. As one of the board members elected after I began to serve the board, I've borne witness to the maturation and growth of Dr. Barber Garcia as a board trustee, and I believe it is time to allow her to bring her attitude, awareness, and passion to an officer position. So I present to you for your consideration for Vice President, Dr. Brittany Barber Garcia.
Is that a nomination you accept?
Yes, thank you very much.
Are there any additional nominations? Could I please have roll call?
Barber Garcia, yes. Brandow,
Yes.
Isich. Yes. Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
White.
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. I look forward to serving with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this point in time, 5C is secretary.
Once again, I have borne witness to the growth of a board member elected after I began to serve. From someone who I think would freely admit didn't know what she was getting into when she first got onto the board, but now is a strong-willed, passionate, and candid member of the board. And I can think of no one better to serve in the role of secretary to hold each of us accountable than Katie Isich. It is again my honor and privilege to nominate Katie Isich for secretary.
Is that a nomination you accept?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? All right, could I please have roll call?
Barber Garcia, yes. Brandow,
Yes.
Isich.
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations. After we finish this, you can take over that role of being secretary, but we'll go ahead and finish this. Is that okay? All right, I will now look for a nomination for treasurer, please.
Yeah. I would like to nominate Jason Saidu. Oops, sorry. Jason has shown me the ropes, and he has helped me understand the ins and the outs and basically everything, because I did not know what I was getting myself into a couple of years ago. And so I'd like to nominate him for treasurer.
Is that a nomination you accept?
Humbly, yes.
Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I would like to nominate Tim Morris for treasurer. It's no secret that we've had some challenges over his past year as treasurer, and I think that he has taken those on in stride and with just a great amount of attention to detail. He's put in effort and hours that is far beyond what is seen behind the scenes to make sure that everything is just right with the finances. He has the experience, and he really does understand the complexities that go into that. And so I'm honored to nominate Tim Morris to continue on as our treasurer.
Thank you. Is that a nomination you accept?
Thank you. I do accept it humbly and appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve the community.
Thank you. We have two nominations, therefore I will go back to the first nomination of Jason Sadu. At this time, I will ask for roll call for Jason Sadu.
Barber Garcia, yes. Brandow,
No.
Isich.
Yes.
Morris,
No.
Nichols,
No.
Sadu,
Yes.
White.
Yes. We'll also ask for roll call, please, for Tim Morris.
Barber Garcia, no. Brandow,
Yes.
Isich.
Do I have a moment to read something that I prepared?
Yes, please, sure.
All right. I prepared this in advance because I wanted to be very clear the reasons why I'm voting no. My time on the board with you, Tim, you've emphasized repeatedly the importance of transparency to our community. So I believe it's very important for our community to understand why I'm voting no, just so there's not a lot of back and forth. Since November 2021, I have requested committee meeting minutes that you present during the regular board meeting be provided to the board, but especially the Finance Committee at the same time as we receive the agenda or at least 24 hours in advance of the board meeting. This has not happened once and should be a minimal task for a committee chair. The bond work has been a huge commitment with oversight for this committee. I believe that you have delayed the process at times while causing a negative impact to the district with prices that have continued to escalate. While there are some things that are beyond our control, we have a responsibility to make decisions in a timely manner to not cause additional and unnecessary financial harm. We represent this district and we're elected to do so by this community. Our committee meetings have definitely lacked focus in previous months. As I mentioned, the negative impact this has had on the district with so much of your attention directed towards the recent social studies curriculum adoption. Dr. Trauber and Dr. Martin worked endlessly to accommodate your every request above and beyond what was required per our policy. I again feel you have violated your obligation to your obligation to the work of the district and this board when you took email threads and only shared what seemingly worked for your narrative while running for re-election. This does not show the integrity that should be expected from each one of us. The Finance and Operations Committee was tasked with the discussion of a contract extension for Dr. Martin in January of 2022. It took until June 2022 to bring this to the full board, which is not reasonable for this task. To follow this, in October of this previous year, after receiving a highly effective rating for the third year in a row, you were asked to discuss a pay increase and any necessary contract changes in the language that would be appropriate. While the information provided to all might have been lost or misplaced, it was still ignored or put aside after it was brought to your attention. This item had to be addressed by another board member to get it taken care of with the existing board, with complete disregard to everyone else. We didn't receive the correct version of the amendments until just prior to the start of the December meeting. These actions, along with others, have created a lack of trust and did not show professionalism in the role in which you were entrusted by this board. Our staff in Caledonia is amazing beyond words. I get to see the impact within my own home, but I have been able to see a much bigger picture in the time that I have served on this board. I do not feel as though you have acted as the leader in creating an environment for our excellent staff to feel valued and respected for the difficult work that they do every day. They need to feel supported as they lead the charge to educate our most valuable assets. That's a no.
Okay, thank you. Morris.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Sadoo.
No.
White.
No. At this time, that will have Jason Sadoo being our treasurer for the year of 2023.
Thank you. I look forward to serving in that role.
Congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much for your dedicated service to the community. To all board members, we all sit in these seats, keeping in mind that none of us holds any more power than the rest. We are all one person. We're all up here to represent the entire community. We're each one vote, and at the end of the day, once we voted, we speak with one voice. I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you. All right, at this point in time, did you want to, you can just take the paperwork, if you want to take the paperwork and continue. Thank you. Thank you, Brittany, for doing that at the first part of the meeting. At this point in time, we're going to move on to 6, which is our consent agenda. We have the December 12th, 2022 minutes, the December 12th, 2022 closed minutes. We have the December 2022 payables, January 2023 personnel report, the anticipated overnight trips for 2023, the financial institutions to be used of Huntington Bank, Fifth Third Bank, Michigan Liquid Asset Fund Plus, United Bank, and legal firms that may be retained as needed with Rhodes, McKee, Boyer, Goodrich, and Tita, Miller, Johnson, Snell, and Kaminsky, Troon Law Firm, Clark Hill, and Dickinson Wright. At this point in time, we also have then within that listed the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and chief financial officer, or those designees as authorized to sign checks, contracts, agreements, and purchase orders.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
That's fine, thank you.
Just want to make sure that we are going to continue to look at the law firm question and weed out the ones that we're not using potentially and bring on others where appropriate to the board.
Yes, and there was a request by a board member. I think you all received an email from me considering if the law firms that we have on here, based on either the frequency of use or what their expertise are, will remain as retained law firms or not. All the law firms listed, we don't pay retainer fees to have those on staff, but there's still a discussion about whether we want to keep them as board approved. In addition, there was also a question about possibly adding a new law firm, but I know that there were concerns from several about having some questions about what they bring to the table, who they can represent, or how they would best represent the district. So what I have asked is that that information we'll do a little deeper dive into that. We will bring that information back for committees and for next month's meeting if we would like to add an additional representation and or delete any of those that are listed here currently. But at this point in time, we will move forward with these so that for the next month, the district has that approval as needed. Is that clear? Good with everybody? Okay. All right. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second. Is there any further discussion? Could I have roll call, please?
Barbara Garcia,
Yes.
Brandau,
Yes.
Esich, yes. Morris, Nichols,
Yes.
Zaidu,
Yes.
White.
Yes. Motion carries. We will move forward to 7, which is report and information. We have board committee and legislative assignments. Those assignments and committee assignments will happen within probably the next week. I will get in touch with each person to talk to you about where your interests are, maybe how that we can best fit that in. Obviously, with 2 new board members, we want to make sure each committee is represented with a new board member, as well as I can discuss then with you too the legislative assignments that we have in place. So you will get emailed information on that. So those will all be in place. Our committee meetings will take place next month, typically the week before the board meeting. You will be contacted by an administrator who typically oversees that meeting to make sure that the time and date that's set will accommodate those that are assigned to that group. All right, thank you. At this point in time, we will move forward to 7B, which is our 2020 bond update with Mr. Hess.
Are we on? Good, excellent. Good evening again, and again, welcome to our new members of the board. It's great to see the faces up there. I've been moving around, so I'm a little confused. All right, we're going to begin tonight with what hopefully will become a regular feature of our memos and probably to the board meetings. We'll see how this works out. This is an update on where we are with the 2020 bond. Following the October 22 directions of the Board of Education, we have continued with the 2020 bond, that line right there, complete the vision. So we are well into that at this point with actually only having November and December and a little bit of January to work with. We've definitely taken some good strides. So moving ahead, these are the 15 major categories that are in the bond, that were on the bond application to the state of Michigan. We've been through these before, and if I drop the microphone, that's not good, right? There we go. Okay. So we have some very high level 15 categories, and a lot of these are very specific, such as a school bus covering structure or playground additions or a site security gate. A lot of these, on the other hand, are very vague: furniture, fixtures, and equipment. That says a lot in 3 words that mean very little and mean a great deal of potential items that can be done. That includes everything from student desks to hand dryers at the high school, from custodial equipment to you name it, carts for the testing tables that the high school has purchased. So it's a really wide category. So we're looking to fill in a lot of blanks there, and I'm sure you'll see this as we proceed. These are projects that have been completed since October. We have 11 of them here. Some of them not real exciting, to be very honest. Adding a one-way sign, adding some crossing signs, fixing up some offices and getting some furniture involved. But then we have things like the security of the Kettle Lake Playground with I believe it's almost 350-foot guardrail off Whitneyville Road. Okay, that's exciting to me. We've changed the lighting on the back of the high school to provide a lot more secure lighting for students that are traveling back there, especially during the fall as we have game nights. We've completed a lot of security upgrades. We've finished the window film installations following the recommendations of SEC. We've updated the perimeter lighting at the gym finally, which is good. We're working on the rest of the lighting here in the spring and summer. We've completed and finished some renovations. We've added some card access for security. We've been able to do almost a full renovation of the transitions program at the high school. So very soon you'll be able to stop in there and get a cup of coffee, and they do make excellent coffee. And we've done some definite additions to furniture and equipment at the high school. We've picked up some custodial equipment as well. So it's been a busy couple months, and I think you're aware of a couple other things we've had going on. So, you know, we've trying to stay busy. Move along, we have these projects that are underway or under contract. So we've been doing our homework and getting these things to happen. Some of them have to wait until we're finishing at the spring for better weather. Some of them are just going to take a long time to get completely finished. We're replacing the flagpole at Caledonia Elementary. The good news is we saved one when we took it down from Duncan Lake, so we have one on hand. We're saving a bunch of money there, but we're getting it done for them because theirs is really bad. We are doing a lighting replacement behind the schools from all the way from Emmons Lake all the way out to the stadium on the path. These are lighting heads. We're not replacing poles unless we absolutely have to. We're just replacing the heads with the new LEDs. We're doing lighting at the ECC for that parking lot because the orange globes are just way out of date and way out of power. So we're doing a full replacement of hand dryers at the high school. That's been a source of amazing complaint for years. Yeah, we're all nodding our heads, and everybody goes, yeah, those things are terrible. Well, there's 48 new ones on order, and they're coming in. So you can see the list of things that are coming down the line there that are under contract. Scott Vugteveen has been out of town for a while. He has a great number of things that are happening in technology, and he's looking forward to sharing that list next month. One of the exciting things on here, it's an interesting issue of security. We are doing a complete rekey. We are changing all the locks at the Duncan Lake Middle School. This has been a security issue for years now. Since it was a high school, we still have staff and we have people that have master keys to a building that they have not worked at or been involved with for upwards of 10 years or more. And they still actively use them occasionally. So we've been trying to protect the place, we've been trying to get it under control, but at this point we're going to a full rekey, which will really up the security system there. And moving on, these are projects that are in design. So not really even fully vetted to say they're under contract or underway. Tower Pinkster Architects is working on the high school connector. I will tell you that I reviewed the mechanical and electrical planning for that today, and it is moving along swiftly. We should definitely start seeing some things to share there in the coming months. The security gate at the high school south is under design. The monument signs have already been designed. We just need to get some approvals done from the road commission, from the township, and get our approvals on these and get them installed. And the training center. We're still not exactly sure where we're going to put it. We have a lot of great ideas, but it is definitely, the footprint is being developed and the design is being developed by them. We ourselves here at the district are working on student furniture for Duncan Lake, interior signage for Paris Ridge now, because we have the other two are well underway at this point. We're changing out a lot of old water fountains, and we're going to be doing that as a district. We're going to get a lot more bottle fillers in place. The price has come down a great deal, so we can take our bond dollars a lot further. The court and performance lighting at the high school main gym. I know that was mentioned earlier, but we're definitely looking to complete that this summer. And we've had a good meeting with every principal and informed them of some of their bond budget things and look to them for ideas. I take a moment to point out that I was kind of like, got really quiet, real crickets when I spoke to the principals. And I just happened to mention it to Principal Balmer last week, and she said, oh, we're meeting together as a principals group to decide what will lift all of us together, that we could equally spend our bond dollars to bring each building up. I gotta tell you, as an operations guy, that made me cry. I was really, wow, that was amazing. So that is such a great thing to work with as somebody who's working on bond projects. Again, technology will be bringing us a February update, so we look forward to that as well. I would look forward to getting this as a feature, either in the memo or the board meeting. I'm not sure how, we're going to figure that out, but we'll get it out at least bi-monthly, and we'll have something to do there. So this is not a complete list by any stretch of the imagination. We have a lot of stuff in that furniture, fixtures, and equipment category to do and to work with. So we're just getting really ramped up, and we're excited. So hopefully that's a good list. It impressed me when I started writing it down. I was like, oh my. So we've had an opportunity, and I want to take this chance here at this moment to talk to the qualities that our owner's rep and our constructor and our architects have brought to this process. We're working with 3 firms that are very experienced, that are very smart, and they bring a lot of tools to the table. And every one of them has helped us immeasurably, helped me immeasurably, helped the district immeasurably find good solutions and good suggestions and good ideas to move forward. Depending on the resources of those 3 companies has just been a terrific value for the district. And when they suggest something as value engineering, I know that's a code phrase, and a lot of people look to that phrase and say, oh, that's just making it cheap. It's not. It's value and it's engineering. There's thought and there's process that goes into that phrase. So I use it flippantly at sometimes, but I will say that the people we are working with have been amazing to work with. So, are there any questions?
Jason?
I have one question and one comment. The question is easy, and I know the answer, but just for the rest of my board members, and that is from the turf field. Do we anticipate that will get done this summer with?
That's next on the agenda.
Okay, perfect. I'll wait till the next item on the agenda to ask that question then, or just answer it then. And then as far as providing these updates going forward, it makes no difference to me if it's board memo or presentation here, other than as long as we can put something on the website for public consumption periodically, because I know these board presentations will go. So
absolutely, we have to honor our commitment to communications. Our bond website, it's gotten a little clunky at times. Kelly is working on that right now, and she's doing some. I've seen the drawings of the improvements, and they're fantastic. I just uploaded a whole set of new pictures from the Cal Community Center, so they'll be up on the bond website this week, I hope. So we're working on that.
What was the date you gave for the transitions program being able to be back in the coffee business?
That's up to them. I've had their coffee. I know they're making coffee, and I know they do it, but I don't know that they've got their open sign hung up yet.
Oh, okay.
And we're finishing up some counter work for them, but they're looking forward to getting going. So.
Have they been asked if they're going back to their Cookies of the Month club?
I did talk about
because
cookies.
That might be more important than the coffee for some.
I talked about cookies and brownies.
Okay.
And Adam is looking forward to it. He's not committing yet, though.
Okay. I can email Adam.
Yes, please do. Please do, because the brownies are awesome.
Yeah, that they are. So, all right, excellent. And we like the fact that something went down in price. They may be water bottle fillers, but hey, something. That's good news. They will take it, exactly. Any other questions? No, thank you very much for the update on that. We'll let you move right ahead to the Ralphie Meyer Stadium turf.
The board, one of the directions that the board did approve and did talk about with the 2020 bond, and it was part of that group there, was the investment in stadium turf, in synthetic turf at the Ralphie Meyer Stadium. Originally, the bond talked about making a new stadium, putting up a new stadium on the Cal property, and we realized quickly that preserving the heritage of the district stadium site was identified as very strongly with the community. The community was very, very vocal, and we appreciate that about keeping the stadium there. With that, the stadium needed work. The stadium will need further work because there are stadium items listed in the potential 2023 bond. However, with the 2020, we have an opportunity to install synthetic turf at the stadium. We had we've chosen to go with a designer and a vendor who can do a, quote, design build solution to the installation. This has shortened our timeline by a great deal. It's also kept our costs down as we're not involving a third and a fourth party architect. The good news is that each of these vendors chose to work with the premier civil architect and engineer who is local, Katterberg Verhaeg. So you can't go wrong either way. They have done, I would say 9 out of 10 of the local projects for installing turf and working on stadiums. So they are a terrific resource, and all of these vendors chose to go with them. So we took interviews with 4 nationally known vendors for synthetic turf, vendors for installation and supply. We did vet them significantly and looked for prices on an apples-to-apples basis. We put out a basic field that said, this is what we want it to look like. There's nothing special about what we want you to quote. So we got quotes across the board. 2 of the quotes came in very close in range. They were both the lowest, but they're also extremely good companies, so that was heartening. We brought both companies back to speak with a committee. Thankfully, I'm without a doubt by far the least athletically minded person on that committee. I was there just to look for a lot of other things. The mindedness and the conscientious attention paid to the safety of our athletes by the members of that committee, I would say, was very inspiring. And it was very nice to hear. They were not talking about exactly what shade of purple the end zones could be. They were not talking about what's going to be written in each end zone. They were talking about how's the temperature on the field? How does the field play? Do we need this feature? Do we need that feature? How are we going to get water out there? So there's a lot of really great details and a lot of things that went into thinking about keeping our athletes not only safe, but a great playable field that's going to look fantastic. So where we are with these is that we have 2 proposals from AstroTurf and Field Turf that were both evaluated. We really, in the second interview, we were looking for a relationship. Which company would be the best to work with over the next 10 years? Because we have a minimum relationship. We're going to be with these people for at least 10 years, probably a little bit longer than that. And we want to be able to feel comfortable knowing that they're going to be able to supply the equipment, everything that goes into maintaining the field, as well as be there for repairs. So there were a lot of questions about, what's your response time for repairs? Where's your offices located? And truly, AstroTurf of Michigan stood out very much ahead in all of those categories, and they provided a really comprehensive and full answers to the student safety questions that were being asked, student user safety. So at this point, our issue is that if we wait till the February 21st board meeting to do anything, we will be challenged to make the schedule. If we release them by a letter of intent, and we've provided a draft, this does not commit the district to anything because there is no contract, but it does show our intent to use this company as the vendor of choice to move forward with the project. And they can begin a number of things that will start the permitting process. Procurement, installation, all of that can be done absolutely within all the timeframes required for our football season. These folks have all committed they will be in there and digging holes and ripping up turf the day after track season ends. They may be able to do some things before track season ends if they're in the infield and the track is being used. So they've all committed to that. But in order to get going for that, we do need to start the process, or we'd like to start the process. So what we're asking for tonight is requesting authorization by consensus to start the initial aspects of design and development with AstroTurf via that letter of intent, or one like it, to your needs.
I have a quick question, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with it and whether we, by consensus, give approval, but is this the same company that I realize we have a few years down the road before we have to look at replacement of Scotland Yard Field, based on when it was put in and replacement time? Is this a company that also does that kind of replacement?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then so if we're moving forward with knowing that this football stadium needs certainly more work than just simply a field thrown in the middle of it, does putting that in hamper anything else that has to be done? Or does it set us back? Does it cause problems? I mean, with the track itself. I shouldn't say track, and I realize our track itself has some of its own issues. But with any other construction, anything else that has to go on there in that time frame?
The good news is no.
Okay.
This would be the first thing we would need to do anyway. We're building from the center out.
Okay.
So that anything that then gets built in the future is going to be outside of it and not not affected in any way. These companies, it's almost like an extra insurance that they provide, that if they mess up your track, they own your track. And they're going to do it, and they're going to take care of it. So they've committed that they can do the job without damaging our track. I've seen some very interesting installations. Mr. Townsend visited probably 50 different fields, in some of them in various states of build, and they bridge the track. Some of them actually have an elevated structure that they drive their equipment across. So they're really involved, much more committed now than they ever used to be to protect our assets.
So we don't run the risk of adding cost by trying to hurry something through to a bigger project, I guess is my, okay, perfect. Tim?
Is a letter of intent, what is that going to do? I mean, with your conversations with them, is it really going to save us any time?
Yes, it's going to allow them to start the process of permitting, looking to get paperwork filed with knowing that we're going to be doing something. And that's the big slowdown right now. There's also some engineering design that they're willing to take on before the contract is actually issued. They need to look at where we need conduit, where we need water, and a few other things. So then they also have to do geotesting, so they can get out there and drill some holes and see what our dirt's made of, other than clay.
Thank
See
you.
what our clay is made of, other than possibly a little dirt.
Additional questions, Tim, or? Okay. Jason?
So one, did we ask them if they had like a BOGO deal to get Scotland Yard thrown in, or, I'm just kidding. So, I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
If there's any other questions, we can come back to
Your earlier
Jason.
question involved when we get it done. If they get in there, at the end of track season, or, worst case, June 3rd at 7 a.m., because we get out, out of school on June 2nd, they will have it ready for the football team to begin their August practices on.
I do remember my question now, and that is if we have a consensus to move forward with the letter of intent, one, how set are the prices that we have in our packet here? And two, if we decide to decline or vote no come February, what is the repercussion?
Well, the good news is there's no real repercussion, because we haven't committed to any dollars at this point. We're just committing to say to them, hey, you're the chosen vendor. We're going to present you to the board in February. It's our intent to seek a contract. That's all we're saying. Because letter of intent. What was the first half of that?
How set are the prices that we see there?
Well, the good news, what you see there is originally for that generic basic field. So what we're doing at this point, what we will do during this initial period, is design with them. Do the end zones, what is the color purple? Are they outlined in white? The white letters, do they say Caledonia? Do they say Fighting Scots? Do they just say Scots because they're $1,800 a letter? It's things like that. What's in the center of the field? We said, for the basic design, we put a Cal. We put the Cal logo. And the athletic department and a few others, they're very interested in seeing Bob, the Fighting Scot, out in the middle of the field, which I think is awesome. But again, there's a price variation. What color green do we want? What two colors of green do we want? Because we want to see the light stripe, the dark stripe, back and forth. And all of those things involve cost differentials. What font do you want for your letters? And you've got your letters, your numbers, because there's availability of probably 12 different fonts. If you put in a 4-foot hash mark instead of a 3-foot hash mark, there's a cost. So we're working on that final cost. The good news is that the initial basic field the bids came in, their quotes came in at $1,050,000 and $1,078,000. And the 2020 bond budget line for this was 1.9. So if we come close to that 1.9, I would be beyond shocked. So we will not. Even if the end zone has to say go, the other one has to say Scots. No, it will not come to that. But we will be watching that closely. But the original design had no water on the field, so now we're adding that. But these are not monster items. The monster item itself was just the field and the geo work. So.
Okay. Additional questions? All right. Then at this point in time, I believe, based on I'm not seeing it under an action item, and we're just talking about consensus here. What I need is a feel from everybody if they're okay with moving ahead with that letter of intent. John? You good? Yes. No? Tim?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Jason?
Yep.
Yep, Jennifer? Yes. Katie?
I'm good.
All right, I'm good.
We'll use the draft we have, and I'll craft that with Dr. Martin going forward.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, we are going to move forward to our discussion items. We have discussion item A is May 2023 call for election resolution with Dr. Martin.
Yes. As a growing community, Caledonia Community Schools have gone after a bond. Okay. I'll try that again. A little better. Okay. As a growing community, CCS has gone after a bond roughly every 7 years. The last bond that we passed in 2020 with a new building and location for Dudden Elementary, as well as the Caledonia Community Center, that was going to house a high school competition pool and an integrated diving well for our high school swim team as a cornerstone project of this bond. With the past 18 months, we have experienced significant rise in inflation, and nearly about 40% in many areas. That has left the district with inadequate bond funds to complete all the projects as originally planned and envisioned. As much discussion around various value engineering approaches as well as other cost-saving measures, the board has determined that we would go forward with a supplemental bond in May 2023 to complete a new Dudden, renovate our stadium, do expansion of Calplex, the play space for our future Fighting Scots, along with other items to best move forward and complete the vision as planned. With the current market, the district has the capacity for up to $125 million without increasing the tax levy set at 7 mills. The amount that we are asking or proposing to ask the voters is $61 million. This bond would enable the district to complete the new Dudden and move forward with the large capital projects and other items that we aligned to our strategic plan some time back. With the preliminary approval letter provided from the Michigan Department of Treasury in your packet, we are asking the board to approve the resolution as the final step, thereby allowing the district to put a bond proposal before the community for May 2nd, 2023. Are there questions that I can answer?
Any board questions at this time? No? Good.
Okay.
All right, at this point in time, we will move on to discussion item B, which is schools of choice resolution.
Yes, now we're at that time of year where we are, as most of the school districts in Kent County, we are asking to pass a resolution to opt in or opt out of various state and local non-resident programs. As we have done in the past, we are asking the board to vote for the following. Opt out of Section 105, which is a state-controlled schools of choice program. We are also asking the board to opt out of Section 105C, which is another state-level program for contiguous districts outside of Kent County. We are asking the board to opt into the Kent ISD Collaborative Schools of Choice program, which allows us to maintain local control as it relates to schools of choice programming. So this is something that we have been doing for a number of years, and we are asking the board to continue that practice.
Are there any questions for Dr. Martin on this?
And this will come to us for a vote next month, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
If you do have any questions about it, just at any time on any of this that's going to come to us next month, please just make sure and get a hold of Dr. Martin, myself, send an email, because whatever question you have may be also useful for everybody else, and it will be communicated out to everybody, whether it's through board memo or through phone call or email. All right, we are going to move forward to 8C, which is fencing for Emmons Lake Elementary. Mr. Hess? One of these things you get excited about. Here you go.
Absolutely. This was actually very exciting because this is part of the Jason, what's Jason's last name? Yeah, Jason Russell, the SEC recommendations. And it's something we've kind of looked at over a number of times, and it's been identified as a challenge over the years. So we're looking forward to this. Both of these items, next two items, are also for February. They will be at the committee in February. They'll be back to the board in February, so we're just introducing them tonight. One is significantly more complete than the other, but we'll definitely get it out there. And again, about questions, like she said, also include that the bond email is there, my email is there, so if you have questions about any of this stuff, we're definitely readily available for that. Emmons Lake is the only elementary school we have that has an open bordered playground. And you'll see from the map attached, it is quite an open border, and it includes the walking, biking, dog walking, etc. trail that comes from the village and proceeds out through the front of the schools and connects to the Paul Henry Trail there. So it's quite a remarkable security risk that we've had in place for a long time. And we do have, unfortunately, residents with their dogs and residents with a variety of non-motorized, vehicles that just decide to drive through the playground on a daily basis now. So it's something we really want to help address with the installation of some fencing. This is quite a long fence. The image that you see in 2D, the darker section outside the fence is the hill. So we are not giving up or losing real estate for expansion by installing this fence. This does show the repair of a gate, a walk gate, which is something we wanted to install because the cross-country track runs through here, and we need something we can readily open for them, plus a large vehicle gate at the other end, again, cross-country, and getting us in there with equipment for repairs and for plowing and for clearing the playground space in the wintertime when we do. So we're recommending fencing consultants eventually as we go to this for a vote. We did a full RFP, got it out and advertised it widely. Fencing companies are not often very responsive. And unfortunately, fencing companies that are here today can be gone or have 3 different names by the end of next month. So it's challenging to work with them. Fencing Consultants has been around for a long time. They are a statewide company. They're very involved, and they've done a tremendous number of projects in the district. They've done a lot of repairs for us. There's an oddity in this, in that the bid price from Fencing Consultants is significantly lower than the other one, but their hourly rate for repairs is much higher than the other one. We did some math, looked at fencing projects over the last 4 years. It would take us 8 more years on top of this to make up that difference. So we're going to be recommending to stay with Fencing Consultants. So you may see that in the paperwork as you go forward. So again, if there's any questions on that, please feel free to let me know.
Jason's got a question for you.
Just a quick question. Do we anticipate any increase in maintenance costs for having to, control weeds or whatever along the fence?
Yeah, it's a fence. Everywhere we go, we have those issues. We've developed some newer tricks in that respect, and we're doing well with it. But fence gates are notorious between kids and, frankly, operations staff, who open them roughly, whatever. Kids and the public are tough on fence gates. So we do have an annual routine that we do, and we involve fence consultants in a lot of our gate repairs.
Any additional questions on fencing? Tim?
This is not going to block the Paul Henry Trail in any way, is it?
Nope. Actually, the Paul Henry Trail technically is not part of this. The Paul Henry goes around the South High School, comes from the stadium, cuts under South, and cuts across Craft. This is the township and the village portion of the trail network that connects to everything. And there is path around the front of the school. There are plenty of other paths to cut through there. This just takes out that segment that goes to the playground, and really it only cuts it out during the day. If folks want to come through at night and whatever, because they do regularly in the middle of the night, go through there, they're going to open the gate and they're going to come through. Hopefully it'll slow them down a little bit. Maybe they'll think twice.
Thank you.
Additional questions? All right, thank you. So you want to move right forward into D, which is building commissions for Cal Community Center?
Building commissioning. An integral part of new building construction is a process called commissioning. It's not something that is been around for a very long time, but it is something that is important to us, and it is it's very interesting concept that has come about in the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years, come to its own. This is the process whereby a third party or fourth party company comes in with testing equipment, and they verify what our contractors and what the builder and what the architect put in. They say, okay, this air fixture is supposed to be delivering 150 cubic feet of air per minute. Is it actually doing that? And they're the ones that'll go in and say, well, yes, it is, or no, it isn't, and they'll provide a report. Their report is added to the punch list. It's a matter of record, and it provides an opportunity for the contractor to go back and check and say, you're right, that wasn't operating like it was supposed to, and we take care of that. It really is welcomed, quite often very much welcomed by constructors, by contractors, by builders as a nice, easy and simple and professional method of not having to come back 2 weeks later because the owner is saying, hey, there's a problem with this and it's not delivering. It definitely gives us a nice clean thing. I will say commissioning has not been done at Caledonia Community Schools with a lot of our past projects. That's been very evident over the past few years as we rebuild and change the operations department to do a lot more and to get into a lot more. And we've found a lot of interesting situations where it's evident. So we're going to be recommending it for the Cal Community Center as our first major build that we have going on, and the first one will be finished. Eventually, it will also be part of the new Dutton. There is a process of retro commissioning, which is something that we'll do occasionally. We'll bring in the same type of contractor, and they'll look at a building that's 25, 30 years old, and they'll say, is it still functioning, or what's changed, what's drifted? So we'll be looking at some of that, thankfully, years down the road. Not yet. I can't take that one on this year. So.
Perfect. Any questions? Yes. We'll start with Brittany.
I just happened to notice that there wasn't a cost estimate
Yeah,
here, and
yep,
so I was curious.
yep.
If, I'm
This
sure
one-
not quite yet, but
Yeah, this one is
an
still
idea.
a little thin. Plant Moran, Carissa, and myself and the builders are still kind of looking this one over. This is I won't say a unique structure, but it is a natatorium. And with that, we require and we are looking for a very specific set of skills to really look at pool systems. We do trust our builders. Don't get the impression we don't. We do, and we have great relationships, but a recent experience at Paris Ridge has shown us that commissioning is a great idea. So, and that was built, 10, 12 years ago now, so.
Sorry, any idea when we can expect an estimate?
That will be at the committee meeting. We will definitely have it by then. I expect it in the next week or two to be, finished out. But we'll have it for the
Perfect.
committee meeting. We'll have it for the presentation in February.
And would we expect that we would, that would be attributable to the bond cost? for the
Definitely a
Cal
bond
Community
expense,
Center?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jason?
That was my same.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Additional questions? All right, we'll look for more information on that. Thank you. At this point in time, as we go into our next section, which I believe will move pretty rapidly through, I just want a reminder that if you're here for public comment, that we do ask that these cards be filled out. Please turn them in the back corner to make sure that, or if you've already turned them in to somebody up here, that's fine, I will get them. But if you could have those turned in before we start public comment, that will be great. At this point in time, we will move to 9, which is board and superintendent reports. We did not have committee meetings this month due to having new board members, and we will return to having those next month. Board trustee reports, were there any specific reports from board members? All right, I just want to thank all of you again, and as we move through in the new year, we've certainly had plenty over the last couple of years that has been difficult, has divided community in so many ways. I hope that we are all moving forward with the intent of keeping our kids and our learners first, as we look to support our teachers who do a fabulous job for us each and every day, certainly during some difficult situations. But thank you to all of you that are here. I can see some of you there in the back. Thank you to all of you, and we will continue to keep that as our focus. At this point in time, I will ask for Dr. Martin's superintendent report.
Thank you very much. Got a few good things I'd like to report. First, for those who may not have seen some of the press releases that were out recently, I'm happy to report that for the first time that we are aware of, 7 of our 8 eligible schools received recognition from the Michigan Department of Education as reward schools. That is all of our elementary and K-8 buildings. From what we understand and how reward schools are determined, these schools are determined on a number of factors. One is if you have high academic achievement, as well as improving test scores. And so because of the work that we have put in the last couple years, we saw some great improvements over the last couple years. And what makes that even more remarkable is that's coming at the same time that many of the media information that we received around the state as well as around the country was telling us to expect a drop-off or reduction in academic performance based on COVID. But here in Caledonia Community Schools, we beat the trend, so it was nice for that to be validated by the Michigan Department of Education. Thank you. So certainly kudos to all of the staff members, administrators who have continued to work hard and keep our focus. And while we certainly don't feel like we've arrived and we certainly have much more work to do, this was certainly validation that our staff is outstanding, our kids are wonderful, and we are moving in the right direction. Another thing that I wanted to celebrate, and so this is something that Mr. Hess can, he already knows, but he can take back to his department just our appreciation. As we worked to develop a strategic plan and we looked at areas in our district to improve our overall operations, one of the things that came out in 2019 in the community forums was that because of how we did our transportation, most of our kids were on the bus for more than an hour, particularly coming out of the elementary buildings. And in addition to that, if you add all the mileage up on a bus that all our buses traveled over the course of the day, you could take a vehicle from Caledonia to San Francisco and back in a single day, every day, for a total of nearly 900,000 miles a year, 887,000 miles to be exact. So we did a lot of things when we kind of went to elementary zones and moved from K4, 5, 6, 7, 8 facilities. And again, while we're still not perfect, I'm happy to see the numbers coming back in, that because of the changes that we have made, with the shifts to our boundaries, we have not only reduced the average ride time for most of our students to less than an hour, but we have reduced the overall mileage that our buses travel a year by over 250,000 miles less a year. That is 1,380 miles less per day. So when you think of the wear and tear on the buses and the fuel, this is concrete effort or concrete evidence that our effort to drive more resources back into the instructional programming, into staffing, and all the things to make our school great, and to get our kids to and from school safely with less time on the bus. Kudos to the transportation department for a job well done. Just a reminder, our regularly scheduled February Board of Education meeting, that falls on a holiday, which will be February 20th. We are going to move that February meeting to February 21st. We will keep the 6 o'clock start time as normal. Also, we will be bringing on a new transportation director, so I think they're 3 to 4 weeks out before they're able to leave their current district and come over and fill that vacancy for us, but we're pretty excited about that as we get closer. Our HR department will work to bring them so that they can at least be introduced to the board and get them started working with our outstanding department. And a couple other things that I think is worth noting. One, just congratulations to our DECA state qualifiers. We have several students, Owen, Jordan, Cameron, Elsa, and Rashi, who have qualified for the upcoming state competition for DECA in March. We're happy about that. Also, got a lot of good stuff. If you didn't get a chance to watch Wood TV 8 sometime last week, you may have missed, but you can probably go and find it on Wood TV 8 that our students third graders from Paris Ridge did a Zoom call with Chief Meteorologist Ellen Baca, and of course our students represented us well. It was a great experience for them learning about lightning, snow, tornadoes, and wind. So always fun to see our students getting involved with learning in a fun way. And last but not least, and these are two things together, there was an article that was in SNN, which is the school news network for the county, and it was a great article written about the work that we have done across the district with capturing kids' hearts, and just describing, and students were in that article describing the positive difference that they've noticed in their schools, with their teachers and their classmates this year during the launch of this training. And as you recall, we've had about 75% of our staff members who went through that training this summer. To just put a finer point to that, when the principal at Paris Ridge looked at the data after having Capturing Kids' Heart training for all of their staff, he noted that they have seen a 48% decline in discipline from the same point last year, and it was also down 36% as compared to the 2021 school year for the first half of the year. So again, incredible evidence of the outstanding work that our staff is doing with the training, just showing that we are in so many ways moving in a good, positive direction that is showing in the academic performance of our students, is showing in the operations of our district, is showing in the attitudes of our staff and our students. So thanks to everyone for all that we're doing to make sure that we continue to make Caledonia a destination district.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the superintendent report? Thank you. All right, at this point in time, we're going to move into our public comment section. I will call a name followed by a standby and a third in place there, just so that we keep people moving forward. First, we'll have Melissa, followed by Erica, then Wendy.
Good evening. My name is Melissa, and I am here today on behalf of our teachers union, the Caledonia Education Association. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge some of our Caledonia educators that are here tonight. And I ask all of our current and retired educators that are here behind me to please stand so we can take a moment to acknowledge you. Collectively in this room, we have numerous years of educational experience, and I am proud of each and every one of you that are here tonight. I believe our district, our students, and our teachers are stronger, safer, and more successful because of the unified work of our union members. We are a group of educated and empowered professionals that work day in and day out with and for our students and our community. I want to acknowledge that January is National School Board Appreciation Recognition Month, and I am thankful for the professional relationship our union has
with many of you. My hope is that we can continue to move forward together for public education with mutual respect, transparency, and professional discourse, as we will continue to advocate for our students, our teachers, and our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again to all of you. We wouldn't be here without you, so that's why we're up here. Next, we have Erica, followed by Wendy, and then Katie. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Due to time, I'm going to jump right in and go as quickly as possible with have everything make sense. I will refrain from using actual names, and I'm only speaking of proven facts that were made public. It was brought to the community's attention on a social media page that a candidate running for school board had FOIA'd our teachers, staff, and administration on October 31st. This piqued my interest as well as raised many questions. After not being able to get answers on that same social media page and being blocked by a couple of candidates, I decided I had to make my own FOIA request to confirm the who behind this FOIA request. I will read the gist of my finding from that first request, and I will use X instead of real names. Mr. Kingsbury, per the Freedom of Information Act, I am requesting all emails, in and out box and deleted, communication, text messages, and all documentation between CCS staff, teachers, and administration, including my name, XX, and former name, XX, between June 1st, 2022, and present, November 1st, 2022. And so now I knew the who. Less than 24 hours later, this same who sent another request asking for any documentation from the same employees, including her married name and the Children's Advocacy Center. Again, X asked for her FOIA fees to be waived. I filed a second FOIA request to help me find the why behind all of this, and this included communications between board members. I did not ask for my FOIA fees, excuse me. The gist of my second finding was that a current board member had concerns regarding the alleged sharing of student information using the SIS system. Specifically, the alleged sharing of information about a school board candidate's children by one of our school administrations, our building administrators. This administrator was questioned, and it was determined highly unlikely that any information shared on social media originated from the building administrator in question or any other administrator. This summary also included that the administrator was not a relative of the community member who expressed concerns and indicated they do not have access, nor have they tried to gain access to information of the prospective board members' children. It is worth noting that building principals, secretaries, teachers, and counselors cannot view information associated with students that are not assigned to another building. On November 4th, X sent Mr. Kingsbury an email, and I quote, "Just wondering if the fact that I FOIA'd this information is posted publicly somewhere. Was this information shared with the public via an open information forum, or was the request made known to the public through personal conversations?" Again, X was insulting our staff by doubting their integrity. Additionally, why would a candidate that repeatedly stressed the importance of transparency ask such a question or care about the information being shared regardless of how and why? Other information that I received from my second FOIA request included screenshots from the same social media page about X's personal and intimate relations with a convicted sex offender. A website had been created and shared that revealed very specific details. Additional screenshots were included in the FOIA regarding a re-elected board member They had stolen campaign signs back in 2014 that resulted in a police report being filed. Again, both of these topics had been discussed on that same social media site. I conclude that this is the why. These two stepped in the limelight of elections, had their dirty laundry aired, and they were going to team up to abuse their power to target an administrator that they felt was related to the person or persons behind the website. I don't believe it's morally ethical to attempt to discredit an innocent staff member in hopes of taking the focus off from yourself and your own wrongdoings and try to control the narrative for your own benefit. These board members were comfortable consuming the district's time and resources in a sad attempt to protect themselves. Intimidation and the abuse of power should not be tolerated. Contrary to their campaign stance about transparency being crucial and being for the kids, they did not come forth when asked about these FOIA requests. They blocked numerous community members on the same social media site, which left me to assume, much like their undesirable past, they hoped this information would not be revealed. My first question is there a way that FOIAs in the future can be published so that people cannot issue FOIAs for their own personal gain or as a means of intimidation? My second question is that will the board continue to interrogate employees when there is in fact no evidence to support accusations? Board Member Code of Ethics 0144.2I states that any member should avoid being put in a position of conflict of interest and refrain from using their board positions for personal partisan gain. I'm citing all of these things as mentioned because it seems to be in violation of this bylaw. Will there be continued practice of allowing the board or board members to harass people that they think are related to them if a community member has a concern that they don't like? Reading the investigation summary, it says the administrator is not related to the concerned community member. While I appreciate your diligence to ensure that no foul play had actually taken place, is it typical practice that one single board member has the power to launch an investigation on a staff member without having any evidence? We should be praising our exceptional staff and uplifting them. Board members should not be creating divides by inappropriately attempting to discredit staff, especially when there is already a shortage of highly qualified educators. We will lose valuable educators if trust is lost, and in turn, our students and the community will suffer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Katie, followed by James and Mary Ann.
I am still in somewhat of a disbelief as to the whirlwind of what unfolded these last several months during our elections. We were not unlike many other districts that faced similar challenges in contentious school board races. But as a Caledonia parent and a Caledonia educator, this race felt more personal for me. While I may have been in favor of an alternate outcome, I do respect the results of our election, and I genuinely wish the entire board success, because while we may not always agree on specifics, we will all have the responsibility to our children, our teachers, and our neighbors to do what is in the best interest for our entire community. This mutual understanding and common goal has the power to overcome disagreements when it is met with common decency, professionalism, and respect. I want to thank the other 4 members for their past practice of open communication, respect, and professionalism with our Cal teachers. I also want to encourage parents to remain invested and to stay informed. It is not lost on me that we are meeting tonight, on a day that holds a lot of emotion for many people. The lessons we are reminded of today are important for every day of the year about character, justice, and empowerment. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us that intelligence plus character, that is the true measure of an education. He reminds us that our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about the things that matter. My hope is that the other community members and parents do not become complacent in the next several months, and that they will continue to advocate what is best for all students. Our job is to ensure that our children have a well-rounded education that prepares them for life, and not an education that is being shaped or aligned with partisan political views or the newest educational buzzword on your nightly news program. We need to stay informed. We need to continue to show up and to ask questions. We need to engage in transparent and respectful communication. And we need to demand the same of our elected school board members. How we go forward, how we communicate, and the words and actions we choose are examples to our children. For, once and again, the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And so I leave you today with some of my hopes. I hope the board can operate with professionalism and respect among each other and when interacting with parents and teachers. I hope parents show up and ask questions to stay informed. I hope our board can set a positive example for other districts and boards that even with some differences, we can operate with knowledge, decency, and responsibility. And finally, I hope the board can be united in our ultimate goal, and our ultimate and shared goal, which is the love, education, and future of our Caledonia children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have James, followed by Mary Ann, and then Representative Regas.
First to the 3 elected in November, congratulations. To the 4 continuing, thank you, you've served well. I want to share what I fear and what I hope. First, what I fear. I'm one of 35,000 residents in this district. You don't have to do anything because I say so. And you don't get to do whatever you want. You are trustees. You don't have to do anything because 300 or 3,000 people might stand up in one of these meetings here and say so. That would be mob rule. The founders of this nation feared mob rule. They feared demagoguery, the power of a charismatic leader to stir up commotion. Demagogues turn citizens into mobs, and mobs tear down institutions and governments. 3 trustees were elected in November with the support of our new state rep. She identified herself with our former president, who tried to overturn the 2020 election, who urged his supporters to mob the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. She was there, cheering them on. Last May, she stood here and accused our schools of indoctrinating our students into the blatant radical leftist agenda. Then she presided over the campaigns of our 3 newly elected trustees, who also accepted support from a billionaire who wants to divert funding from public education to private schools. Their campaigns featured angry slogans and fear-mongering dog whistles. So here is my fear based on what we saw last year. I fear that some of you might take your cues from people who dislike democracy and public education and distrust our teachers, that you might think being elected means freedom to do whatever you or your faction wants. But you were elected by the whole people of Caledonia as trustees. So here's what I hope. I hope you will honor the trust we have placed in you by focusing on 4 things. 1, our students. We trust that in every decision you will talk about the school's responsibility for forming our students into good citizens and leaders. 2, the Constitution of the United States and the state of Michigan, especially Article 8 of the latter, and the democratic and pluralist principles in these documents. Some people don't like what Article 8 says, but you have sworn to support it. We trust you to do so. 3, our teachers are dedicated, trained professionals who deserve our thanks and respect. We trust that you will always talk about attracting, supporting, and retaining excellent teachers. And 4th, local facts and values. We trust you to reject input from people stirring up global culture wars. We trust you to constantly say to each other, let's talk concretely about what we should be doing here in our local schools and what's best for all of our students. These precious human souls right here in Caledonia. Every single one of them a beloved child of God, with all their strengths and all their wounds. Disagreements are inevitable, but I hope focusing on these 4 things will help you think, talk, and work in harmony as a board. Thank you for your willingness to serve. I will pray for you all.
Thank you. Next, I have Mary Ann, followed by Representative Regas.
Well, greetings, everybody. Nice to see everybody tonight. You all know, many of you know me. I've been in this district a long time. And I spoke last time in December, but that was before the other folks were seated on the board. So I felt a responsibility to repeat what I said last time because I feel it with all my heart. But first, I want to once again congratulate Dr. Martin for that award that you received and that your family was here. That's real Caledonia relationships. That's what we're about. So I once again want to recognize and thank our wonderful teachers, administrators, support staff, all who make our school community a destination district. I believe we are very, very fortunate to have the dedicated staff we have, and I would hope our community continues to recognize and support them. And I really can say that because I've been involved for probably over 20 years in all different aspects of this district, including raising my 2 kids here. So I'm very, very grateful to the education and the, not only the education, but the relationships that were formed here that my kids still continue. It's a remarkable place that way. My daughter's 27 and she still associates with girls she went to the 1st grade with in Peg Mulheron's class. Where do you find that? That's Caledonia. That's our community. Something to really, really be proud of. And then lastly, and I wanted to reiterate this tonight, that I really suggest that you as a board consider drafting and implementing a code of ethics for our Caledonia School Board, for our trustees to ensure in the future that school board members do not endorse political candidates by identifying their support as a Caledonia School Board trustee. Partisan politics have no business in school board decisions. This code of ethics would prevent the conflict from occurring. Public education teaches all of our children, not just the children and their families who represent the values of the political affiliation or religious belief of a particular school board trustee. I really, really hope that as you move forward as a board tonight and move forward, that you keep an open mind and work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Last, we have Representative Regas. Before you start, we'll say congratulations to you as well.
Good evening. I'm not here to cause division or lead a so-called pretend insurrection like some would are led to believe. I am simply here to congratulate the new members of our board and encourage everyone in this community and the board to move forward. And I would call for unity within this community. Now, the elections were rough. No one's saying they weren't. They were contentious, they were dirty, they were ugly, and they showcased the ugliest in a lot of us. And for my part in any of that, I apologize. I was duly elected by this district to represent every single member of this community, and I take that job very seriously. And I trust that Jennifer, Tim, and John can also put the election behind them and do what's fair and right and just for our community, for the teachers of this community, and the children, because that's really what we're here for, the children. And the past couple years have been very divisive, and I've played a part in it as a parent that was very concerned about some of the things that have gone on within this district. But I will tell you one thing, if I didn't have some trust in this community, I would not have raised 2 of my children to attend Caledonia schools. We moved here for these schools, and I have said that many times as I have come up here. And it's been rough, but we're going forward. We're done talking about the election. The election was 3 months ago. We're done talking about 2020. We're looking forward to the future. We have a bond coming up, and I think that it's time to put partisan politics behind us and move forward for our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. At At this point in time, we will move on to 11, our action items. 11A is our May 2023 call for election resolution.
I move that the board approve the resolution for a May 2023 bond proposal.
Second.
Are there any more discussions, any questions on this? Further discussion, I'm sorry. All right, can I please have roll call?
Barbara Garcia,
Yes.
Brandau,
Yes.
Isich, yes. Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. On to 11B, which is February board meeting date change.
I move that the board change the February regular meeting date to February 21st, 2023.
I have a second.
Second.
Just a quick point of order, that's the same start time of 6 PM, correct? It
Correct.
just wasn't in the motion, just wanted to make sure.
It is, and it was oversight on our part. There's nothing else going on other than the fact that it is just contractually a day off for the district, so we have moved it to that Tuesday. So, sorry about the change in that already, but, you know, what would it be if we didn't have to change something right off the bat? So, can I have roll call on that, please?
Barbara Garcia,
Yes.
Brandau,
Yes.
Isich, yes. Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. Again, I want to thank all of you for coming, and as I've said before, and as we've heard, you know, we are prepared to move forward. I know that public comment can be rough as board members too, because we sit up here and you get 3 minutes to say whatever you want to say. And I will say, after sitting on the board for 12 and a half years, typically, you know, when you draw a crowd to a board meeting, it's because there's something specific going on, which doesn't always mean it's public comment. But with the start of the pandemic, if you will, and what we've all gone through, obviously we worked really hard to give parents and community members the time they needed to speak. And that did, on occasion, run over those 3 minutes. But we do ask that you work really hard to be respectful of that time that we do give you, even yielding time to others. So thank you very much for all of you that do participate in that way. We appreciate your involvement. We are always available. If there's an issue that we can help with aside from a board meeting, don't feel free, don't be afraid to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to us. That almost went backwards, so, you know. But thank you all and have a good evening. Can I please have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, everybody.